Hello. Happy Sunday evening. I got some Sunday evening whiskey on the rocks. Cheers to you. This could be a weird video, but probably not weirder than my usual. I'd like to tell you about a very strange dream I had. A little bit creepy, so that's your forewarning if you don't want to go there. Of course, that's quite a tease, isn't it? And But first, I wanted to mention just the kind of week it was. I don't know what you were, what kind of week you had, but the weather here in Buffalo was really quite beautiful. It was pretty much 80 degrees all week and very little rain. But beginning last Monday, I just had the strangest feeling all day, and it lasted into Tuesday and Wednesday, and I could just not shake it. Like just this feeling of just dread that, to be honest, I had trouble figuring out if it was coming from like outside of me or from inside of me. I don't always know the way that some of the experienced psychics do, whether I'm feeling like the collective energy or whether I'm feeling my own worries about things. Because the three, well, like, we got lots of things going on. We got just these incredible stories about climate change that are scary. We've got all the political stuff and all of the corruption that's being revealed from the last administration, which is scary, but hopeful too, because the January 6th Commission hopefully is going to really get to the bottom of things and establish some facts that can't be disputed by the difficult GQ And then thirdly, of course, the rising cases of C-19 again, which is just so sad. But there's reason for optimism there too, because as the cases have risen in the South in particular, vaccination rates are also going up there. So it means that maybe some of the people who are on the fence or afraid of the vaccine, maybe now that they know that the FDA approval is very near, and they're also seeing just how destructive it really is, the realization is sinking in that they have to do it for their well-being, and then in turn everyone's well-being. And then really the next project, I'm sure they're working on it, but I don't know how far along it is. Really, the biggest priority is getting the world vaccinated, which is a enormous task. Yet, okay, 8 billion people. What is it? 1% of which, 5% of which have been like vaccinated globally. It's really low. It's really sad. Countries like India and most of Africa just super low vaccination rates. But even industrialized nations like Australia, because of the bad choices of their prime minister. But Biden already committed 500 million doses worldwide. That's, in a population of 8 billion people all together, it's not insignificant. It's very significant. It's a start. So, 500 million, 500 million, 500 million, and pretty soon you got 1, 2 billion people in the world maybe covered in time. And then we may see a global reduction, and then the variants. That's the key. The variants have to stop multiplying so fast, so that when booster shots are made, as they will inevitably be, they're effective, because the boosters have to be based on whatever the current strains are floating around, and you want to minimize the number of strains that are reproducing by getting at it as soon as you can. So it's kind of it's a race in which we get ahead and fall back and get ahead and fall back. The Northeast, I look at my New York Times. I know I'm not even talking about what I said I was going to talk about. I will get to the dream, I promise. The New York Times coronavirus tracker, I check it every morning because I'm very curious about the trends. And I noted that What it is it's a map of the United States, and they break it out into every county in the entire country. It's really amazing that they track all of this, and it tells you the vaccination rate for every county in the entire country, the hot spots, so where the most cases are, the 14-day trends, you name it, anything related to the stats they gather. And so I know for a fact that Buffalo, Erie County is our county. So Buffalo, Erie County, a month ago, our average was 1 case per 100,000 people, which in a greater Buffalo region of 1 million people is basically 10 people. That's almost eradication. Well, now we're up to 9 cases per 100,000. So now you're talking about 90 cases for 1 million people. Still pretty low, but creeping up. So where does it top off is the question. But what we see, and the coronavirus map shows that how the vaccinated areas just are faring better than the unvaccinated areas. It's a direct line. So Buffalo, Erie County is one of the lowest rates of infection in the country at 9 per 100,000. And then as you go further northeast into like Connecticut, Maine, and Vermont, my geography up there gets a little sketchy in my head, but those are all really low too. So the Northeast is the lowest in the whole country. And then the second lowest is the Midwest, which is about 1.5 times the rate of the Northeast. The West Coast is at about twice the rate of cases as the Northeast. The South is 4 times as many cases. Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, has 8 times as many cases on its own. The good news in Louisiana is that they seem to be taking it serious now, and I believe that there's a state mask mandate in Louisiana again. And then the vaccination rate there has also climbed, which is good news because that may help them get a handle on it. Florida, God only knows. I know they're not doing very well either. But so we got all these things colliding, right? We got crazy climate change, crazy fires, just destruction, just so sad. We've got all this political turmoil. We've got COVID. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on right now. And you can't fault people for being worried. Yet at the same time, as much as we're able to redirect our thoughts to the upside of things or the good side of things or what is good in life, it's really important. I have to do it consciously almost every day because it can be really hard. And like I think I started to say on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, I just felt this claustrophobic, terrible feeling. And my dreams were just bad, and weird. Bad and weird dreams. Pretty much all week. Some were not terrible, but then there were a few that were pretty much nightmares. But when I watched Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot's, I think it was her Monday video, and she was feeling something too. So I sort of reached out and in the comments section and said something like, "Yeah, I can't put my finger on this feeling, but it's really strong. It's heavy." And she wrote back that she felt it too. So I was like, "Ooh, okay, well." That was it's not it's not great news, but it was like a validation that it wasn't just my imagination or my own feelings, as opposed to like feeling more of what I think of as the collective feeling. And then as the week went on, it didn't go away entirely, but it got better. Like Thursday into Friday into Saturday and today were better. And that also matched her reading from today, in which she pulled some cards that were more optimistic and seemed to imply like some forward motion in the right direction again. And apparently that has a lot to do with the 8-8 Lionsgate Nebula, or is that what it's called? Lionsgate Nebula or Lionsgate Portal. I really don't know much about it, but per Marianne's video, she said that there was a lot of light coming through that portal that she was feeling. And I would believe, given her sensitivity, that it was reaching her in a way that she could actually tell that that was the source, which is so cool. And I kind of hope that someday I'll be that sensitive to those energies, or maybe I don't want to be that sensitive to those energies, because that means you're just as sensitive to the hard energies too. And I am very sensitive to all of those energies. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. So, do I tell you about this crazy dream or not? Well, first, I'll tell you about another dream that happened this week that wasn't as crazy, but it was still weird. I'm always dreaming. I have dreamt for years of my car or my truck getting stolen. It's comical. I don't get it. Usually the thieves are not seen. They come and they take my truck, but they half the time they leave the wheels and the drivetrain and the chassis, and then they take everything else, and I come out to a parking lot and my truck's gone. It's just ridiculous. Well, this was a different version of that dream. This time, the thieves came to my house, but they didn't come to the house I live in now. They came to the house I grew up in, and I think my family was there too, so they came to the side door through the garage, a screen door, and it was a woman who was kind of like the leader, and she said, yeah, we're going to take your truck, and thanks a lot, because thank you for leaving all your musical equipment in it, because we're going to take that too. And then I had the thought, like, well, I guess I can get that stuff replaced. I mean, it's just, I should be able to find those instruments or some version of them somewhere. But then the weird thing that was in the dream that I can't fully explain was the bed of my truck was filled almost to the top with water. And I don't know what to make of it, but what resonated for me today in Mary Ann's reading was that she said there was a lot of water energy in her reading and that it represented healing. So that was last night's dream. So maybe, even though it was still a weird dream about having my stuff stolen, maybe the symbol of the water was a positive sign. I don't know. But the dream I had earlier in the week was a real creeper. So if you want to bow out now, that's okay with me. And I'm not even really sure I should share it, because it was kind of troubling. But I don't take it literally. And I don't feel you should either. And also, my dreams are often odd. They're not always predictive. It's not necessarily like, okay, this is what's going to happen. And especially this dream, because this dream was kind of essentially impossible. Sorry, I gotta unfold my legs. They're getting a little stiff. This dream was a bit impossible because what it was two super powerful, supernatural beings who were at war with each other. And they happened to be on this planet. I think it was this planet. And I was watching as an observer, not a participant. And then at times it seemed very much like it was a movie that I was watching in a theater. Like I actually kind of felt like the movie screen and the seats. But then for most of it, it felt like it was happening. Like I was watching omnisciently. So these two superpowered beings are in conflict. And I had the sense that one of them wasn't good, but was maybe slightly more good than the other one. But really, they were both bad because they were so destructive in their war. And what was happening was I didn't actually see them physically at any point, like not their, but I sensed them. It was really strange, like as energies, but I didn't see them. What I saw instead was how their war manifested. And what they did was this is the creepy part, they were absorbing people into themselves to wage war against each other. So imagine almost like a sand pile rising, but the sand pile is growing like a human sand pile, like as people are being like absorbed into this rising tower-like figure, like with fists, like the Sandman from Spider-Man cartoons, like where he's made of sand, so he's like his form is nebulous, and then he can take on shapes within his sand-like body. So like they both were like growing these mountains, but it was from absorbing people around them, and then like the the ground too, like they were like absorbing the ground, the earth, and then I think the buildings, and like so like they were evenly matched, and they were using the resources of earth to fight each other, but they were destroying earth in the process. And that's what was just so bizarre about it. And then I remember there was like, it was almost like watching a scene of like people on television. Some people were cheering them on as they fought. Some people were horrified. But I was watching the people who were cheering, and I was thinking, you're so dumb, because you're going to be absorbed next, because they're so evenly matched. This thing is going to keep going. They're going to use everybody and everything on Earth to wage this battle. And they did. They absorbed like every bit of energy on the planet to fight to a stalemate. And then the point of view was basically deep black space. Very, very strange. And it was so empty and quiet and lonesome. It was awful. And they were still at it. They were basically, now the thing had gone cosmic. Like, it seemed as if they had somehow consumed like all the matter in the universe, like over I don't know how long a period of time, in order to just continue waging war in which neither could get the upper hand. And as they kept fighting, the resources, like there was nothing left in the universe. Like the sky was just getting darker. It was all sky. There was nothing but space. There were no stars. Just everything was black. And the only light left in the entire universe were the sparks from their last jabs at each other, using the last resources available to them. Yet they were so stubborn and determined. They were each so determined to win, even if winning meant also perishing. Just to know, they each wanted to win so badly that they were willing to also destroy everything and perish themselves. So odd. So I started to see the last flashes, and then complete darkness, empty universe. So weird. And then a long pause, and then a little flash again. Like, last jab, here's my last jab at you. And then a long pause, and then another little flash. Like, oh, no, that's my last jab at you. Like, still, even at the end of everything. And then the strangest part, well, I don't know about the strangest, it was all strange, but the way it, wrapped was that the slightly good one, which obviously wasn't good because he was just as ruthless as the other one, the slightly good one appeared to win. And by winning, he basically had the last say. He had the last expression of light in the universe. And what it was a smiley face in the middle of space. A tiny little lit up smiley face sideways, like you would type it on a computer screen. And then it went out, and that was it. There was nothing left. Existence was over. I don't think I've ever dreamt the end of the universe before. I've definitely dreamt about the universe before, but never the end. So that was at the beginning of the week. And I'll admit, it stayed with me. I've been thinking about it for days, and I was having trouble shaking it. And I don't know if sometimes maybe trickster, energies, spirits sneak into my dreams to engineer these goofy nightmares to try to throw me off. I could see that being a possibility. or if it's my own subconscious sort of manifesting some deeper fears. I don't, I want to couch this by saying the world is not ending. We are not in end times. I don't think we are. I don't see Jesus coming down from the sky and saying it's all over. But I would say that I think we are in a very unique, somewhat faded time where like there is a kind of war going on here, but unlike in my dream, it is between the forces of light and darkness. And I do believe that it's true that the light workers that are on the earth now, including probably us, that this was all foreseen and it was a multi-generational effort. It began with the baby boomer generation. It went through Gen X, my generation, into the millennials and onward to try to beat back darkness at this time in the planet's history. And this is kind of mirrored by a lot of the readers, the psychics who've seen this. I know Cindy at Soulprint, she has said that her collective that she communicates with, her spirit collective, has remarked that they're honored to be with us, the light workers, at this point in history, as if it is a momentous time. And I think that probably it is. And I think that probably when mankind looks back at this 2020 and onward, that these couple years at least will be seen as some kind of big turning point for everything, for the maintenance and preservation of democracy, for global climate change and new efforts to renew the planet. The global effort that will be required to overcome COVID, like it will have to be all the nations of the world together, and it affects all nations of the world together, and it affects all people of the world. Like, not even world wars do that, because some countries don't participate, or the people who don't go to the war don't feel it firsthand. Like when the United States has sent troops overseas, the population back home doesn't feel the war the way the people fighting it wherever it is taking place do. But COVID is different. It is treating everyone equally. And the entire world is affected. So it demands the response of the entire world. So I would say that that's a pretty serious thing, and that we are in a pretty serious time. So that's also why it's important to see the lighter side of things too. So if you want a light pick-me-up video, I strongly suggest Susan Lynn's video from today, in which her guests are all animal psychics. So it was a live stream that I caught about half of, and I'm watching the rest now later, in which people who were in the live stream had their pets read on, mostly pets that had deceased and crossed over. And also even some other animals too, like animals you wouldn't expect, like snakes and stink bugs and what else? Cicadas. Like, it was really interesting and fun too. So if you need that lightness, like I did after this week, then I strongly suggest it. And I'm going to probably finish watching it right now, right after I finish this video. So, but what I think I'm getting at is that as the week has gone on, the feeling has gotten lighter for me. And it reminds me, the beginning of the week feels to me like exactly the opposite of what I felt at Easter. If you watched the video I did either on Easter or around Easter, where like I could feel this energy, like this loving, raised energy, like in the air, in a way that I had not experienced it before. At least not since the previous Easter before that. So I don't know if I'm just starting to pick up on these things a little differently than I used to, or not. But I felt it was notable to kind of be lining up with Marianne's perception of things. So with her video saying today that things are going to be better this week, that the energy is kind of turning with the 8/8 Lionsgate portal, I'm going to go with that too. So I hope my dream didn't throw you off too much. If you have any feedback on it, you're welcome to comment, but please don't dwell on it too much. I just thought it was just so bizarre that I kind of wanted to share it. And I hope that everybody stays safe. Hopefully we're going to get some news this week that's good, that maybe Delta will start to level off. The vaccines are clearly biting into it better in the places that are more vaccinated. It's an obvious statement, but thank God that they are working well on Delta. And I also read in the New York Times today that they think that down the line in a few years, I believe that what I read was that viruses tend to, their mutations slow down as like more people have been vaccinated or simply infected and recover. Like the mutations aren't as traumatic after a while. They don't come as quickly or as often, and so it's easier for the medical companies to make booster shots that can address the current variants of the season, and that way we can sort of keep ahead in this race. We can maintain our lead, so to speak. Yeah, so that's it. And I've been doing a lot of writing, and which wasn't expected, but it just sort of happened that way. I had an idea for how to flip some chapters for the next book around, and then it just gave me a whole new set of ideas. And when I get hot, I get hot. And when I get cold, I get cold. So I like to go when I'm hot, and when I'm not, I just put it aside until the feeling returns. So have a great week. Take care of yourselves. Maybe check out some of the videos that I referenced, and hope to see you again soon. If I have a really fun or good dream, I will be right back. I promise. I will rush to record it for your benefit. Okay. Be well. See you soon.